Okay. Okay, so this is our psychology class. We are going to talk about the second part of memory, right? Does anybody remember anything about memory, the definition? The capacity to retain and retrieve, right? And also we have ability to structure, right? And then we say if things so traumatic, if something happened to so huge and trauma, what we call that? Flashbulb memory, okay? And then we also say, sometimes we are confused about is this memory is from here or from the picture, the video I watch. What we call this kind of confused. Start with M. Yes, means attribution source. Okay, that means it's all you. You're just not sure you remember because you really remember or because you watch so many videos. You watch so many pictures, right? And then another confused is you are not sure, or actually you confused about is that happened to you or happened to somebody else. Start with a C. Confabulation. Okay, and so then we talk about actually even we kind of think we remember, we not remember, but then we use a lot of time use eyewitness. Remember to as evidence. And what do we say about that? We say it's reliable or not reliable? Not reliable, right? Remember, and then we say 3 years old is even more vulnerable than 4 and 5 and 6. Okay, very good. You know, even some of you now, I know it's there. It's there, just like in this moment that, right? And hopefully the more we talk about it, the more you think about it, you remember. Okay, so the model memory. Okay, so when we process information, usually we go through this encoding, right? You have to encode. Just like the video, I have to push the say, right? Record, then they can get in. And the same thing for our memory. If we never encode, it's no way to retrieve, okay? Then, storage. Storage. You encode, but you have to store. You have to store. Okay, sometimes you want to encode something, and then like you write down a piece of paper, but then when you go home, who is the paper? Right, you don't have storage, or you know, your computer don't have storage, and before I change this phone, my phone only has 64, it's all full. Right now it's still okay, I don't know, they may, because I keep recording, maybe it will run out of the space, right? So you need to have a storage. And then, of course, you need to have ability to retrieve. Okay, and then sometimes, unfortunately, when people got brain damage, they may lose some ability, either encoding or retrieve. But this is very important to process information. You need to have all these 3 parts, right? Which 3? Which 3? Encoding, storage, retrieve. Okay, so now they have 2 explanations about this. Okay, this actually, I use less because this just talk about, okay, they just all together and they connect to the, the different part. Okay, this part I'm not sure it's convincing me much, but it's information there. Of course, you should know. But then I like this one. I like 3 bucks. I think 3 bucks make more sense to me. Okay, and you can tell me which one you like the best. And of course, whenever we talk about here, I'm not saying you have to believe 100%. Remember, this is scientific. You can even, in the future, you have chance, you can even put them into a test. See which one is real theory, can explain your situation or something around you. Okay, so let's say 3 bucks. Okay, so they say our memory is go from here to here to here. Okay, let's explain that piece by piece. The first part of memory called sensory register. Sensory register. Okay, so actually, let's say, okay, let's say when you are in this stage, actually the stimulus, the information is so many, and so many. Think about from your home or your dorm or to here. How many stimulus, how many stuff you already see, right? And they have large capacity. That means so many things, you have very big space to take them. Okay, however, they stay in a very short period of time. If you hear somebody tell you something, you can remember for 2 seconds. You can remember, they stay in your brain for 2 seconds. If you see it, they stay in your brain for half second. And it's a lot, everything. They are there, but then they gone. So if you don't do anything in that 2 seconds or half second, they are forgotten. They are forgotten. Okay, how many of you still remember something happened on your way from your room to here? Anything you still remember? You remember anything?
It was foggy.
Huh?
It was foggy, and I didn't have to stop at the crosswalk.
Okay, and why you still remember? Why? Must be something very special. But I think more than that happened on your way, right? So for example, if your friend, a roommate, a friend you didn't see for so long, and say, hi! And then you say, hey, what's your email? Or what's your phone number? And they tell you, but you thought you remember, but you didn't write down. When you get here, you say, what he say? What she say? It's gone. It's gone. Okay, so there's so many. Now, some you are precious and you want to save it because your goal is to send them to the second stage called short-term memory. Put in short-term memory. That's your goal. So for example, you are prepared for the exam and you study, and when you come to the class, you don't want them to disappear. You want them in somewhere. If not long term, at least in short term. Okay? So short term, like the information, Haley, right? Haley just told me now in your short term memory. Right? And so Haley have to do something if she want to remember that forever. Okay, so now look at here. The short term memory has very limited capacity. The space is very limited. The space is very limited. And they only stay for 30 seconds. Okay, how long they stay here? How long? 2 seconds. 2 seconds and what? Half. 2 if you heard. Half if you see it. Okay. But here it's better. How many seconds? 30. 30 seconds. It's better. It's better. Okay. However, it's only very few information can stay here because it's very limited. The door is very narrow. Okay? Well, when you get here, you need to do something in order for you able to get long-term memory. Okay? What do you do when the staff get to your short-term memory? What do you do? What do you know? I know a lot of you already part of that discussion, and you guys talk about so many different strategies. Okay, and so the strategy you do is your goal is sent to long-term memory. Now, a lot of you describe how do you remember how do you play the sport, right? How to play sport, how to play the music, how to play, all this. Your goal is sent to long-term memory. Okay, one of the things people can do is chunk. That means put them in the union. Put it into union. So, for example, right now, a lot of companies, they put their phone number as their name, right? As a name, right? So then, rather than try to remember the number, you remember their name, and then you go to our key, and then you can see A is here, B is here, C is here, and that's called check. Because your space can send to long-term memory is called magical 7. Magical 7. That is means 7 plus minus 2. The length. So 7 plus minus 2 is what? How big the space? 7 minus 2 is what? 5. 7 plus 2 is what? 9. So think about your phone number. Phone number is about 10, right? And your social security number, right? They all in advance. Because that's a good chunk you can put your mind and then send to long-term memory. That's your goal. And of course, you all have different strategy. Like you try to write down, practice that, repetition. Your goal is sent to long-term memory. Okay, now, the good thing for long-term memory is what? Unlimited. So good, unlimited. I don't care about you are 64, you are 256. They don't have such like this. Your mind, your brain is best than your phone, than your computer. Do you believe that? It's unlimited. Okay, and also they are stay there forever. They are stay there forever, right? So, for example, many of you play sport, and then maybe when you finish school, you may not play sport. But do you think you are going to forget? I don't think so. If you remember so well, actually it's there, right? It's there. Like I learned how to dance when I was young. Right now, I still remember. Because they are there forever. And also, they organize. We are going to talk about it soon. They organize by some memories about how they have a principle. How some memory more like one memory. Okay, the fact. Which year something happened. Okay, and some memory about your life. And they organize, like our computer, you have folders. So they have folders here. So that's why you want to work very hard from the first day. So you can save them, send to here, and safely send to here. Before you send here, everything is very fragile, very vulnerable. 30 seconds, gone. Half second, gone. But if you put here, you can be very happy. It's there. It's there. Of course, you may need to have to learn how to retrieve them. It's there, but you may not know it's there unless you retrieve them. Okay. Now they have another one. It's called working memory. And we will have slide all this. I'm just going to talk about before we move to slide. Okay. They have a memory called working memory. More working memory memory is you retrieve from long-term memory for some purpose of learning. Okay, so for example, if you already learned so many math, so you know all the math. Okay, now you walk into the math class. You will have to retrieve all that formula calculation, put into your short-term memory as a working memory, so you can work. Okay? So you don't have to have your teacher teach you how to do the plus, minus, division, multiplication. It's already in your working memory. And then when you left your math class, you may send those working memory back, and then you pull another part for your next class. Okay? But if you're not in your long-term memory, you're nothing to pull out from your long-term memory as a working memory. Then for those subjects, you have to learn from scratch. That's why some subjects you find it easier to learn, because it's already there. Some subjects I'm nothing there. Is anybody, any class right now, you have nothing there, your long-term, actually you learn from scratch? No? That means your life is much easier now, right? Because everything's there, and they're all in the storage. Okay? So that's why I think this 3 bucks make more sense than that just say everything is coming once. Okay, so now next, we will go through next couple slides, but I'm not going to go too detailed because we already talked about here. Then just see anything else we didn't talk about. Okay, I think we already talked about this. Okay, right? And then we say short-term memory, right? And then here, I think it's good here. Okay, then short-term memory, we already know this. Okay, and then that's a chunk. Okay, so American is very good in using chunk, like all that variation for the language, right? So sometimes you may forget the original way. Like what we say, if you look at this as FBI, but there can be something like our TU can be Tiffin University, can also be what? Toledo, right? And for example, I'm graduate from MSU. It's a Mississippi State University. They can be Michigan State University, right? So then, but at least it helps you to remember something, and then further you go back to say, by the way, what's original? What's original way to use those names? Okay. Okay, and then we say for chunk, can be word, can be a phrase, can be a sentence, can be image. But everybody may have different way to put the chunk together, and that is something to do with your own culture, with your own life experience. Something makes sense to you, may not make sense to other things. Okay, so Abdullah, English is your second language like me, right? So how do you remember English? Do you need to refer back to your own language and then combine them together to help you increase your memory?
Actually, I use it in my life.
Yeah.
So it's helped me to remember that.
So when you learn a new English word, do you need to put your Arabic on the side?
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes to help you remember.
But sometimes it doesn't make sense.
Sometimes it makes you even now find the words there, or their word now find the words here.
Yeah.
So in that way, you just have to remember, right? Is anybody when you learn the second language, did you try to put English there to help you? Okay, can you give an example?
For Spanish.
Yeah, Spanish. Yeah.
Different words that kind of sound like English words, since Spanish is very similar.
Right. You have to use it. So sometimes you just know it, understand it, but when you put English there, then you say, oh, now I see it, right? And So that English may be your chunk for learn Spanish, right? You put them. So people have a different way of learning as long as it makes sense to you and it's working to you. Okay, and we talk about working memory, right? Okay, now, we say working memory, we already talk about this. Okay, and we talk, okay, now let's talk about long term. Okay, we say long term, actually they are organized. Okay, they are organized. Okay, so now, before we get there, did anybody have experience like this, tip of the tongue? It's there, but didn't come up, right? It's there. And I think that young people were less likely to happen, and sometimes when people get old, no, it's happened, really? Okay, so what can you do? Huh? Either look in the notes or wait. Say, okay, I'll come back when this comes to my mind, right? And then sometimes it's like, I hope I remember, but it's there, right? And it's happened because there's something, because they are so familiar, but you didn't know they are asking you that question. Okay, but anyway, so let's look at this chart. I like this chart. Okay, so this is how it's stored in your long-term memory. Okay, all the memory, it divide into two. Okay, one is knowing how. Knowing how. Okay, is anybody actually, you know how to fix the car? A little bit, Brendan? A little bit? Anybody know how to change the flat tire? Okay, so then Brendan have somehow procedural memory. You all have procedural memory about how to put a sentence together, right? When you learn English. When you learn English, your teacher, teach you the structure, or you remember. That's why sometimes it's hard to learn second language, because it's not in my life. So I have to intentional to remember those structure. It's harder, okay? But once I learn it, that becomes procedural memory. Actually, I feel Americans should be very good with math. Do you know why? Because English language is such scientific language. You have those grammar so specific. So specific. My language not that specific. I believe they have some grammar, but not like here. Like if you are he, you need to be is. If you are I, it had to be am. If you had to be are. In my language, it's all 是, 你是, 我是, 他是. They all the same. Right? And then you have I become we, and then my language just 我们, just add 们 become, So it's very hard. So you guys should be very good in math, because it's a kind of formula. Like a formula. Everything have the, right? Did you feel that way? It's I don't know your language, but it's Arabic. It's have a lot of grammar, like English.
Yeah.
Very specific.
My language is flexible.
Huh?
It's flexible.
It's very flexible,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I can't miss.
Yeah. Like, so here you have a website called Grammarly, right? I don't think they can have Grammarly in Chinese, because Chinese is not that specific. I don't think machine can detect my error. So when I write my Chinese, only thing I need to read through is to see that makes sense. But English, you need to see it's accurate, right? And so when you learn English, actually just like you learn math, you need to have a lot of procedural memories, right? Okay. Anybody actually, you believe your procedural memory very good, knowing how? You are pretty good in knowing how. As long as you learn, you know how, you pretty much can go by so many stuff. Okay. Another part called declarative is knowing that. They are very good. They tell you in what year this happened, in this year that happened. Somebody is that historical person for that. The American president, the first one, second one, third one, fourth, the state, capital, those stuff. Anybody are pretty good with this? No, in that. No? 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 Okay. Then, but I believe some of this you may be good. Okay. Under the declarative, have a two part of memory. One is pretty much your personal story. Right? It's personal recollection, absolute memory. Right? You remember when it's your birthday, you remember your high school graduation, you remember, your graduation trip or something, right? And so that absolute memory, and then this called semantic is general knowledge. General knowledge, okay? And for some people, they're just so good with general knowledge. Okay, so let me cover it. For the long-term memory, what's this side? Procedure. What's this side? Declarative. And then under declarative, what's two? Episodic, semantic, and then episodic. Okay, everybody good? Everybody good? Okay. And then I believe we all have a different tendency. Some people, as you say, more knowing how. Some people more like better than, knowing that. And some people even now good with absolute memory. Even we say everybody has story. Sometimes you ask your sibling, like, sometimes I ask my husband, do you remember that? He said, I don't remember. But then he asked me, do I remember what? I say, I don't remember. So people, and depend on their attention. Remember, we say the reason our memory is so vulnerable because we have selective. We only pick and choose the thing we are interested in and we want to remember, right? Okay, so it's good to have siblings, right? Do anybody have siblings? So you can help each other remember something, right? But then again, you have different age. Can be a trouble, right? But at least you have something. And that's why it's a good thing right now. We have Facebook or something in your generation. You have so many social media, something to help you remember the stuff. So actually, I didn't get into Facebook until like 5 or 6 ago, when my kids already have long time ago. Now I use it as to help me to remember the stuff. People say, what you want to post? I say, I post it for myself. Because like today, I just found that they have a memory from 5 years ago. We, as a whole group student here, we went to see Zimbardo. He's a psychologist. He went to Akron University to give speech. So then, so I look and say, I remember I saw him. Okay, so now, this also very good chart, and I really like it. And then I think, hopefully this chart, the way we talk about can help you to learn how to increase your memory. Okay, so when you put information to your long term, okay, actually it depends on when you put in. Some you may put in strongly, some you may put in weakly. Okay, so usually if you learn the stuff first, okay, so think about our 3 bucks. Okay, if you learn the thing first, how many of you are first child at home? You are first child. Okay, so your first child, think about your parents when they have you are the only child. So they are so excited, so everything about you they remember, and they put short-term memory, and everything they remember you, and they put here. So you are their forever love. And they are excited because you have primacy effect. primacy effect, that means you learn first. And you learn first, actually put into your memory. Here, say you are e.g. percentage of people able to recalling the item. So your parents remember everything about you. I have only 2 older child here. You all the rest of you are not olders. Okay, so they have this advantage. Do you guys have more pictures? You have a lot of pictures? You do? You don't?
My youngest have a lot more.
Oh, youngest, compare with youngest, but before your youngest arrived, you may be a lot. Right, you may be, but your youngest more than you. Okay, because your youngest have a recency effect. Right, when they finally have the youngest, it's more recent. Then parents exciting again. So if something you just learn, you're also very good in recalling. Either first or the last. So what's left? Anybody, you are middle child? Middle child here? We don't have middle child. Are you the middle child? Abdullah?
Last one.
Huh?
Last one.
Oh, you are the recency effect? Okay. So think about if people in the middle, or you learn something in the middle. See? What does this mean? People don't remember. Don't remember. Okay? And that's why it's very vulnerable. So if you are studying for your exam, okay, so for example, we teach 3 chapters, okay, up to this point, and good thing I'm not giving you midterm exam, right? So you don't need to memorize yet. But if you have to, then usually students will start to read chapter 1, right? And then good energy, they get coffee and then all the things ready. I'm going to study, right? So they very fresh. Go to long-term memory. Then they start to study chapter 7. You're so tired. You know, energy, and then already something already there, occupy the space, right? And then finally when you learn chapter 10, hey, almost done. So you're excited again, right? And so when you come to take exam, you may find the first part of test you are pretty good. And then last part you are pretty good, but the middle, what's the classical, what's that, you may not blurry. Okay, so to improve your memory, then I suggest don't just study one time, okay? You may want to have more than one time, so the next time when you study, that chapter 7 have chance to be your first child, okay? And then study chapter 10 here, and chapter 1 here. And then next time in chapter 10, chapter 1, and chapter 7. Right? So by doing this, you give every chapter the equal chance to be your first child. And then the equal chance when you are tired. And they are equal chance to be your last favorite. Okay, and then actually we have a final exam, and there are 6 chapters. So then you may want to do this more often, so then when they get to your long-term memory, they get an equal strength. So when you pull out the chapter, you are all fresh. That makes sense? That makes sense? So actually when you look at the competition, usually either the first one going to win or last one. People singing in the middle, oh, the judge not even know what's going on, right? So what's this one called? What's this effect? What's this term? Series position effect. If they happen first, what we call? Primacy effect. If they happen the last, what we call? Recency effect. Okay? And you can see this chart just shows either first or last, they can recall more than something in the middle. Okay, now, Okay, I think this is okay here. We can skip here, just talk about semantic, what's semantic. Okay, and then all that. Okay, and we talk about this already. Okay, now, see, one slide can give you the whole thing. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's just experiment. Okay, now, let's talk about biology. Okay, this also the part I want you to pay attention, because this will be your brain. Okay, this will be brain. If you really like bread, it's not hard. Okay, but if you don't like bread, then pay attention. It's so fun. It's so fun. Okay, let me show you bread first. Okay, we will have this chart, but I'm going to go to your bread first. Okay, that's your bread. That's your bread. Maybe you want to draw a brain, like a cauliflower, in your notes. Your notes. Okay, so we have a frontal lobe, prefrontal cortex, amygdala, hippocampus, cerebellum, and then cerebral cortex. Is anybody want to take a guess? Which memory go where? Okay, first of all, let's think about our chapter 7. When we do learning, what are we talking about the learning? The chapter, what do we say? What kind of condition we say? Classical and operant. Right? Do you know for the thing you learn from those classical operant, do you know where they store? Because you learn that, right? The dog learn, the footstep, and then the dog think, okay, food is coming, so saliva, right? And then after you learn to do how to do the routine life, you must be remember. Where do they go? Where do they go? In this part of brain, where do you think those classical learning go? Yes? Where?
The hippocampus.
Say louder.
The hippocampus.
You say,
The hippocampus.
okay, I will point and you ask me to stop. You say no.
No.
Yes.
Hippocampus? Okay. How about here? You are almost right. Okay. Hippocampus is for long-term memory. Okay. But for those classical, they are more reflection. And so they actually here, cerebellum. Okay, so the classical learning, they are from here. They store here. They store here. Okay, so when you see the food, you like it. When you see the food, you don't like it because from those classical learning, it responds from here. Okay? Okay. Remember our first box called what? Register, right? Register, right? And so you register information. Where do you think they go? Where do you think they started? When you see the star and they go to your brain, where is the first star they go? Okay, can you tell me yes, no? 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 Yes? Brendan say yes. Why yes?
Close to the front.
Because of front. That's good thinking, yes. This will be encoding, okay, for the things that stimulate our brain. And as remember what Brendan said, it's in front of your brain. Okay? Okay, so after encoding, especially the pictures, then they will get into short-term memory, right? If you take half second, 2 seconds, and you do something, where do they go? Okay, you tell me yes, no. You say no? You say no? You say yes? Okay. So they say yes, this one. Anybody want to so? Okay, now if they are emotion, if they are emotion information, they go here. Okay, amygdala. If they are emotion, they make you so sad you cry. Here. Okay. Otherwise, they are short term, they go here. Frontal lobe. Okay? They go here. Okay, so they are short-term memory here. Okay, now they have to go long-term, right? Okay, long-term they go 2 places. One is Haley just say hippocampus. Okay, long-term and also long-term. Okay, and of course they are different part of long term. Remember, long term can be declarative, can be, the procedure, right? Okay, we are going to see detail in the chart, but okay, so let's recall together. Frontal cortex is what? Encoding, and then they go where? Frontal lobe, and then after short term they go to long term, they go where and where? Cerebral cortex and then hippocampus. If they are emotional memory, they go where? Amygdala. And then if they are children from classical condition, they go where? Cerebellum. That makes sense, right? That makes sense, right? And so you see the amygdala and hippocampus so close. That's why quite often when you recall the memory, you also recall the emotion. Right? When you remember something and they are very sad and you feel crying. And if you recall something, they are so happy, you are so excited. Right? Okay, so let's check, see if I remember correctly. Okay, let's go back to our chart, and actually it's here. So I would rather show this later, because if I show this, you'll say, right? And then the brain actually is more exciting. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so remember the cerebellum is in here, right? Cerebellum is what? Formation, retention, simple, classical condition response. Okay? And then we say amygdala is more for emotional memory. Okay? And then frontal lobe, prefrontal, we say encoding, especially the words and picture, okay, memory all here, right? That's in front of your brain. And then they send to frontal lobe, right? And they are short-term memory. Short-term. And then you have 2 places store the long-term. It's hippocampus, okay? Especially for declarative, right? And then another one, cerebral cortex. This one long-term, past maybe related to original perception of information. Right? Right? Okay. Very good. Let's do one more time. Here, I'm going to point here, and you tell me. Amygdala? Emotion. Frontal lobe? Huh? Short term? Prefrontal? Encoding. Hippocampus? Long term, cerebellum, classical, and cerebral cortex. See, you already passed the brain. Do you feel so smart? I like to teach this way of biology. I don't want to just go memorize the brain, and this actually makes more sense. So that's why you have to be very very, very careful to protect your brain. You know, that some people, they are damaged in certain part of your brain, and they're no longer able to store the long-term memory. Or they are not even able, if they are damaged for the prefrontal, they are even not able to encode it, right? Or they are missing the short-term memory, right? And so if you're missing short-term, they have no way to go to long-term. Only thing they can do is the long-term already there. That's why when old people can become old-timer, right? They remember the thing from long time ago, that's in long term. They're not able to remember the new family member, right? That is the reason. Okay. Okay. So that's our brain. Okay. And so, but of course, not only brain, our hormones, okay, the two hormones, epinephrine, norepinephrine, these two, they all influence your memory. If you are high level, actually it's not good. Okay, the moderate level is the best. Okay, do I see? Okay, and so let's say glucose also can be affected. Okay, so beside your brain itself, of course, brain is your storage, but this will be influence how do they react and get to your brain. Okay, so it's very important also for hormones. Okay, now let's go here. How do we remember? Okay, of course, that's why you guys say in your discussion, a lot of you already talk about it. First of all, you need an effect coding, right? Effect encoding, right? And then you need somewhere you write down a lot of, you say you rewrite your notes, right? And then you rehearse, you practice, and then you are able to retrieve. Okay, don't wait until your examination come and retrieve. Okay, because you don't know if you still remember. So every time after you encode, then retrieve. Try to retrieve, see how much is there. Okay, so and now we know when we say rehearsal, okay, they have a different label. Let me see. Okay, 3 label. One is a maintenance rehearsal. It's just like you don't think about the meaning. You just keep repeating. Okay. Now, it's better this one and even better this one. Elaborate rehearsal. You're not only repeating. You think about how do I associate this with something I already know, right? And this you even think about deep processing. Okay. You get so deep, so then you feel like that. Okay, so that's 3 label. Which one you usually do? Huh? Okay, and then which one you think is the most effective for you? Which one? Of course, if you can come out some meaning, then you more likely to remember when you just try to remember the words, right? Okay, now. Okay, so here we talk about there. Okay, we talk about it's here. Okay, now. Repeat the testing. Okay, there or here. Okay, is anybody try this? Sometimes for some information, they just so hard to remember. Then you come out the way to remember, right? You come out to remember mnemonicus. Is anybody use mnemonicus still now? Is this, people use this red? Is this about the different color of rainbow? And that's how you say Roy B. That's how you say. And also if you learn music, they have a C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, how do you say? How do you call them? The music. Anybody learn music? How do your teacher say? How do you remember the first letter do is a C, right?
There's a bunch of different ones.
Huh?
There's a lot of different ones.
Yeah, and which one your teacher teach you?
I don't remember.
I think it's the something with a good boy, something. But anyway, is this way is helpful? If you come out something, they help you to remember, especially if your exam, they are recording. You better remember, and then when you get into that, when you get your exam, you write down that, and then you can spend some time, write them out, right? Okay, now, let's see what we forget. We don't want to forget, but why? Okay, now, why we forget? Because the vulnerability is, once you remember, you start to forget. Immediate recall, 100%, and then 20 minutes later, only 55%. Okay, why? Okay, couple theory here. Okay, let's talk about it. First one called decay. Decay means you don't use it. If you don't use it, you lose it. For example, you learn so many subjects in high school. Brendan's still there. Anybody still in high school only besides Brendan? Haley already in college, right? Beside him, maybe he will be very smart right now. He still remember everything. Is anybody already out of high school for a while and then you don't remember much about something you learned from high school, certain subject, right? Why?
I'm not focused on that.
You don't need it. You don't need it, right? You don't need it, right? And so if you don't use it, then they are going to be disappear. Think about it, have a beautiful grass in your front yard, and if you decide to walk the same track every day, you walk through, they'll become, you will open a path. And then one day your mother say, Brenda, that yard so beautiful, don't walk through. So you decide to change the road. And then next spring, no more. Right? So we start to, when you study, you put so many things in your brain, so they are memory there. But if you don't use it, it's not accessible. And but you say the long-term memory is forever. Yeah, but this may be not even in long-term, and then it's already gone. Okay, that can be vulnerability, right? Okay, now, another reason, replacement. Okay, you learn something, replace the old things. Right? How many actually have been moved and you forget your formal address? Or you change the phone number and you don't remember, right? That's possible. Usually you don't necessarily forget, but can be because you replace, because you have to remember this so much so that they are replace your own memory. So they can be replacement, okay? The third one, interference. Okay, this is important to remember. They have two-way. Okay, so if you learn something first and then you learn later, then you may interrupt you to recall the early one. So for example, in my class, in my teaching, sometimes I have students same name, same first name, okay, from my previous class and then the new class. For example, Abdullah, right? The name, right? And so if I learn first, and then later I come to a new class and I have student, okay, and then the new student face maybe interrupt me to recall what my former students' face. They all have the same name, but how their face looks like. This is called retroactive interference. Okay, retro, that means your new one interrupt your ability to recall the old one. Okay? Now, another way is your new one, your old one interrupt you to recall the new one. Okay, so for example, when I learn Niagara Falls, okay, in my country, we learn it's called Niagara瀑布. That's how I remember. Niagara瀑布. When I come to America, I say, I'm going to Niagara瀑布. People say, what's that? I say, it's Niagara瀑布. They say, we don't have that place. So then they teach me, say, you have to say it's Niagara Falls. I'm still not 100% accurate because it's so hard for me to know how to say in a real way. Okay, we learn New York is New York, and then now I have to say New York. Sometimes I may tend to say the Chinese way, right? And that is called proactive interference. Okay, and the same thing, if I learn something in English, it may interrupt me to recall what I say in Chinese. Sometimes I say, how do I say that in Chinese? I don't even remember. And it's called what? What do we call? Retro. Okay? And this called proact. Okay? And sometimes can be a trouble when you learn psychology right now. And the next class you go to learn sociology. They may have a symptom, different definition. So you kind of say, after you learn in sociology, you kind of say, how do we say in psychology? Or you may say, how do I say in sociology? Because I already remember in psychology way. Right? So sometimes I find, if you want to learn some language, especially second language, don't even try if you don't have a good teacher. If you learn the wrong way, then better than never learn. Because if you learn and then actually it's not accurate, then it's so hard for you to learn the accurate way because that old memory always come and interrupt you. Okay, so good teacher is important. Good teacher is important. Okay, so that's called interference. Okay. Now, another reason you don't remember because you are in different state. Okay, so for example, you are drinking and drunk. Then in that moment, you may meet a new people. And you get along with the people, everybody's so good. And then next day, you wake up, and then the person walk by, and you don't remember. And the person says, why you not remember me? I think we had a good time yesterday. You're in a different state. That makes sense? Or you are in different mood. Do you have that experience when you are so sad, then all the same memory come back? When you are so sad, all the same memory come back. When you are so happy, all the happy memory come back. But if you are not in that status, you don't remember. Right? And sometimes you may have to move. For example, you have good memory about certain place because you're vacation. And after you come back, you don't remember. You have to go back to that place and say, oh, now I remember, right? And this whole thing called cue-dependent forgetting. Cue-dependent forgetting. So the reason you don't remember because you forget a cue. You forget a cue. Okay, so that's why when you email me or you want to talk to me, you better tell me which day, which class, and which day you are here. Or sometimes you tell me where you sit. Then maybe say, oh, okay, I didn't remember you. And that is a cue dependent forgetting. Okay, so we are not stupid. Sometimes just something interrupt, and that's why you don't remember. Okay. Okay, so tell me what's the reason we forget? Medicine? Medicine is there, right? Tell me one.
Do you want what?
Why we forget?
Because it's not important.
Because not important. And why it's not important? Okay, so medicine is because not important. Any other? Anybody remember? Okay, let me use this so I can have a. Anybody? Yes.
The replacement theory.
Replacement theory. Okay. Any other? No replacement, and medicine is not important. What else? Asia? Give me one of the reasons why we forget. You're not sure. Okay. Diana? Why we forget? Huh?
You might not have processed it.
You didn't process. They are why we forget.
Sometimes my mind goes blank.
Yes, right? And maybe cue dependent. You say, oh, I need a cue. Yeah, tell me one word, right? So I tell you one word. Say, oh, yeah. That's cue dependence forgetting, right? How about Cindy?
Not focusing on learning.
Huh? Say that.
Not focusing on learning.
Okay. So then, how about Abdullah?
Stage person.
Huh?
Stage person.
Okay. So we all have different reasons, and some of you don't remember. Maybe you didn't encode. Right? If you sit here, but your mind is not here, and you didn't write down, then it's not there. That's why it's not even forget. It's not retained yet. Okay. So hopefully, you have a chance when you go back, you look at. So let's say together, based on the slide. First one start with D. Decay. And then second one with R. Replacement. Third one with I. Interference. Right? And remember interference, they have two ways. Retro and pro-A. Right? And then we say the next one is Q. Dependence forgetting. Right? Okay, everybody? Let's say together, everybody. Let's sing a song together. Ready, go. The first one, decay. The second one, replacement. The third one, interference. Right? The fourth one, Q dependent. Right? Are we correct? Do we miss anything? Yeah, looks like yeah. Decay, replacement, interference. Interference have two kinds, and then Q dependent. Right? Ooh, it's 40. Okay, so let's stop here, and then we can finish the rest of the next time. Okay? Any question for me?